The day started like any other in Judge Marshall Davis's courtroom, except for the unusually tense atmosphere and the fact that the judge had already terrorized half his staff before lunch. "I said no coffee in my courtroom," he bellowed at his trembling clerk, who had made the unfortunate mistake of existing in his presence. The courtroom gallery, already packed with onlookers, exchanged amused glances. It was common knowledge that Davis's temper had been growing worse lately, especially when dealing with conservative figures. "Your Honor," the court clerk approached cautiously. "Vice President Vance has arrived for his testimony." Judge Davis let out an exaggerated sigh, rolling his eyes so hard they nearly left orbit. "Oh, fantastic. The White House's finest. Somebody polish my bench. I don't want it contaminated by political nonsense." JD Vance entered, composed and dignified, offering a nod to the court staff. Davis watched him like a hawk that had overdosed on caffeine. The moment Vance took his seat, the judge couldn't help himself. "Let's get one thing straight," Davis announced, drumming his fingers on his desk. "This is my courtroom, and I don't care what shiny title you have in Washington. You will speak only when spoken to, Mr. Vice President." Vance smiled. "Crystal clear, Your Honor. I'm just here as a witness." "Oh, we'll see about that," Davis muttered, shuffling his papers dramatically as if preparing to unearth the secrets of the universe. The proceedings began, but Davis was clearly on a mission. Every time the defense attorney tried to speak, the judge cut him off with increasing hostility. "Your Honor, we're simply establishing." "I don't need a history lesson," Davis barked, slamming his gavel so hard the court reporter flinched. "I don't care if your client donated his kidney to an orphan. This is about tax evasion, period." Next. By the time Vance took the stand, Davis was practically vibrating with irritation. "Stand up straight when you take the oath," he snapped, despite Vance already standing with military precision. "And speak clearly. No political doublespeak." Vance raised an eyebrow but remained calm. "I can attest to Mr. Sterling's financial transparency regarding the Faith and Family Foundation." "Oh, here we go," Davis groaned, throwing his head back dramatically. "Another bedtime story about conservative values." The gallery stirred uncomfortably. Even the prosecution looked like they were questioning their life choices. But Vance remained undeterred. "Your Honor, I have documented evidence," Vance continued, holding up a file, "including records from the March 15th Foundation meeting." Davis flinched. "Those records are inadmissible," he blurted out, despite no one having objected yet. His reaction was weird. Too personal. The defense attorney frowned. "On what grounds?" "Because I said so," Davis snapped. "And if you question my ruling again, I'll hold you in contempt faster than you can say due process." The prosecution coughed awkwardly. Vance leaned forward. "Your Honor, I'd like to discuss the Liberty Foundation's protection payments." A silence fell over the courtroom so thick you could hear the judge's soul leaving his body. Davis's face drained of color. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think you do." Vance pulled another document from his briefcase. "I have some very interesting bank records here. Would you like to explain the monthly deposits from offshore accounts that—" "Shut up," Davis shrieked, standing so fast his chair nearly flipped. His hands were shaking as he pointed at Vance. You think you can come in here with your fancy suit and your facts?" The gallery erupted in murmurs. The court officers exchanged glances, their hands twitching near their radios. This was no longer just a bad-tempered judge having a meltdown. This was something else. Something deliciously corrupt. Davis shuffled through his papers, knocking them onto the floor in his panic. "I am the law," he roared, sweat now glistening on his forehead. "I hold the power here, not some Trump-loving lackey." "That's interesting," Vance mused. "Because according to these documents, the Liberty Foundation has been making some very strategic donations to certain judges." Davis let out a nervous laugh that sounded more like a dying cat. "Ha. Ha. Ridiculous. Preposterous. Fake news. I rule that these documents are fake." Vance raised an eyebrow. "That's not how the law works, Your Honor." "This is all a setup," Davis shouted. "A conservative conspiracy to bring me down." Actually, a new voice interjected, "This is a federal investigation." The room turned to see a team of FBI agents entering the courtroom, their badges gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Davis took a step back. You can't do this. I have immunity. Do you know who I am?" The lead agent smirked. "Oh, we know exactly who you are. And we've got records of your meetings, bank transactions, and even those lovely offshore accounts you thought were a secret." Davis's eyes darted around the room like a trapped animal. This is a joke, right? A prank." He let out a nervous chuckle. "Cameras will pop out any second and—" "You're under arrest, Your Honor," the agent said, slapping handcuffs on Davis. "For bribery, obstruction of justice, and a truly astonishing level of unhinged behavior." Davis thrashed, but the agents held firm. "This isn't over. You think this changes anything? There will always be others like me." "You're right," Vance said calmly. "And there will always be people like me, ready to bring them down." As Davis was dragged away, screaming about conspiracies and coffee bans, the courtroom erupted into whispers. The house of cards had officially collapsed. And somewhere, probably in a very expensive yacht, other corrupt officials were sweating through their suits, realizing that their time was coming too. Justice had a new favorite pastime: humiliating corrupt judges on live TV.